Tune into NUBIART, a different perspective on the African world.
You go to church on Sunday. There is no love in your heart on Monday. You're trying to show that you know yourself. Purify your heart, then you know yourself. Purify your heart, then you know yourself.
Interview with Lyrical Healer, also known as Winsome Duncan. Welcome, Winsome.
Thank you.
Could you just give us a bit of your background?
I don't know where to start. There's so much to say. I started writing poetry when I was 9 years old. I liked how words sounded, like how the words rhymed together. So I remember doing like 4 stanzas and just loving how it rang out. And then when I got to secondary school, I was asked to write Valentine's poems for the cards and that for my peers. And what I'd say is, give me 3 names that you call your partner and what do you like about them, and then I'd go away and I'd make up this brilliant poem, and I just really enjoyed it. And really I should have charged because I'd done quite a few of them every year during secondary school, but I'll charge now. So at that time it was just a hobby, or it was just something that I enjoyed to do. I didn't really realise that I was good at it. And then during secondary school we had a few assemblies, and I sung in a few of the assemblies as well, and people used to say, "Oh, your voice is really good." It was probably out of tune back then, but people say things and you just take it for real, innit? Like you're just a teenager. So I was just like, "Oh, I sound good, okay, let me continue it." So after that I went into college, Kingsway College. That's when my poetry took off because I had access to a computer. I wasn't able to use a computer up until that point. And I'm trying to think if we had internet or not. I don't know. I don't think we had internet, back then. Well, maybe it was around, or maybe it wasn't in the school. I can't really remember, but I don't remember being on the internet. But I remember being in the Word documents and typing up poems. Mm-hmm. And the first one that I ever framed was one that I did for a friend of mine at the time. It was his birthday, and I picked up a frame from an old antique store, and it was kind of like velvet green and then the goldish sort of bronze frame on the outside. And I'd done this poem for him, and because the frame was just sold by itself, there wasn't any glass in it, so I even got a glass made for it and just went all out and done this thing for this friend of mine at the time. And he was feeling a bit down, and well, I just thought it was good to boost his confidence. So I was just always in the computer room writing poetry more than I was writing homework, to be quite honest with you. It was just something I loved, and once I had access to it I'd just print away. And also during that time at Kingsway College I was entered into the Afro-Caribbean show, which is like every year they get all the artists from the African Caribbean community and they get to perform. So that was really cool as well. And I won the first 2 consecutive years, £50 each time. That's like big money for me. The first time I took everyone out to Pizza Hut, which would cost me about £26, and had the rest for myself, and it was just really fun. And then on the 3rd year they asked me to host the event, obviously because I kept winning. So it was in that time where I related that I could get paid for my services, and at some point that this could be a business. And my school where I did my Valentine's poems was Elizabeth Garrett Anderson School.
So when did you first feel that your eating was problematic?
Oh gosh, I think that is a very good question, and I thought that my eating was problematic when I was bigger than the other children. So when I was a child, around 7, 8, 9, those kind of ages, I had family members telling me I need to lose weight, which is really hard on a child, you know what I mean? That just messed up my mind a bit. And in some family, one particular aunt I remember was withdrawing food from me, and I was really hungry at that time, and she was like, "Oh, you can't have it," and I cried. You know, like I was hungry, I hadn't eaten, I wasn't being greedy, and because I was saying that I was hungry, she was just really horrible about it. So I knew from a young age that I had issues around food. But when I really realised my eating disorder, it was about 2 years ago. So in 2006.
You have this book, yeah, The Food Spiral, which addresses like eating disorders, obesity, and the self-esteem that comes from that, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
What would you say were the causes of, like, why you were eating so much?
I mean, like I said, I was a chubby child growing up, and I was allowed to, have seconds, and I was the only child for a long while till about 11, so I kind of got my little way, and I was a little bit spoiled. I started putting on weight after being sexually assaulted at the age of 13, and I had this fear around men, and I'd stay in and I'd isolate and I'd surround myself with food because it would make me feel safe. And it was really hard because I didn't understand what was happening. I was so young, my family got involved, and they thought all kinds of things which wasn't supportive to my well-being and my mental health. So at that time I didn't really feel supported, and I just turned to food because it's the only way that I knew at the time on how to deal with it. But that's when the weight began to pile on from that incident onwards. I just wanted to protect myself in the weight.
I mean, how heavy did you go up to?
Well, I put a stone on each year as I was growing up as a child in my teenage years.
Okay, and how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
5'4".
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm classed as being, I think it's morbidly obese or very obese, one of the two.
Say when you were growing up, was there a time when you were told like you must eat everything off the plate because children in Africa are starving, or was that?
Well, yeah, it was that kind of thing, really. It was finish up all your food, that's otherwise you won't get your dessert. So yeah, I had the clean plate syndrome, which a lot of people who have weight issues in terms of obesity go through, that if they don't finish their plate, they've not been a good girl or a good boy. So, yeah, definitely had that.
So I mean that starts earlier. That starts from when when you first go onto solid foods or something, and your parents want you to eat all this solid food when you're like 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So was that starting from that age?
I don't really remember, but I know that if I wasn't eating, it was because I was ill, and that seldom happened. So if you knew I wasn't eating my food, then you knew I wasn't feeling well. But yeah, cost money. My family's a working class family. Cost money to put food on the table. Do you know what I mean? So eat that up and finish it.
Like the kind of food that you love to eat, was it just like sweets, or was it proper meals that you would?
It was meals. I particularly like cheese on toast, which later on I found out how much fat is in cheese. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I've had cheese on toast. But yeah, that was one of my favourites for breakfast. Yeah, I did have a lot of sugary treats. I did like chocolate quite a bit. And if I cried hard enough or long enough, I usually get my own way, because I was with my mum a lot of the time. My dad was always out working, so I knew how to manipulate her around food. And I remember one instance, it was Easter, and she had hid a couple of Cadbury's cream eggs in the drawer in the bedroom, and I saw where she hid them, but she didn't know that I saw, so I was pretending that I didn't see. And went in there, took out, and I must have been about 6. I was really young, but I do remember this like food memory. I think it was my most earliest one. And I went in there and I took out the Cadbury's cream egg, and I pushed the cabinet, like back in the front room, I pushed the cabinet out and hid behind it and ate it. I was quickly scoffing it down. So, it was then I could see that I had behaviours of being a sugar addict, addicted to sugar.
There's something a friend of mine said, right? She grew up she wasn't a single child, but she grew up with her grandparents, and it was just her there. Her parents weren't there or anything, just her. And she said that she never knew what no meant. in terms of like eating food, right? Because everything in the house was for the grandparents and for her. And it's just that thing of she never had any idea of, oh, that might be there for somebody else, or that might be there for another day, or whatever like
Yeah,
that.
no, I didn't really have any boundaries around food because my parents, you know, anything I wanted, I'd ask for and I'd get, and that would include food. And my mum's got weight issues as well, so she just really passed it on to me, you know. And that's not putting any blame on her, but that's the reality of it, you know. You pass on this stuff to your children, like alcoholism. That's another addiction, that people get addicted to alcohol, and it gets passed down to the kids. So it's what you do as an adult to help rectify it. But no, I didn't have any boundaries around food, and when I didn't get food when I wanted it, I'd get mad, and I definitely would have big portions and eat till I'm full up and not to satisfy my hunger levels. Do you know what I mean?
So you have big portions and you have tantrums if you don't get big portions.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
You mentioned a little bit like how your family, your other family, like aunties and that, would make comments and try and do things. You know, what other things stick in your mind about the way they treated you?
Well, one of them, like my uncle, and obviously they were doing it because they wanted me to lose weight, but at such a young age, it might have been something that I grew out of, you know, like, so the people just telling me that at this tender age, there's something wrong with me. My uncle, he said to me that every pound I'll lose, he'll give me £1. And I could only manage to lose about £3, but I was only a child, so my comprehension wasn't even fully formed.
The money wasn't as important as the food, probably.
No,
at that point.
no, it definitely wasn't a good payoff in my terms. Do you know what I mean? Give me a bar of chocolate instead. So I remember my auntie as well. My other aunt, she used to say, "Oh yeah, if you come to my house for 2 weeks, you'll lose a stone or half a stone." So all of this time, and these are young ages. These are ages where I should just be a child. Yeah, I'm a bit podgy around the belly, but, you know, let's be a child. So I've got all of this, oh, there's something not wrong with you, or, you know, you eat too much and this and that. And to be quite honest, it just made me want food more. I found comfort and solace in food, and I guess I'm a little bit resentful as well at the fact that dieting was introduced to me at such a tender age, because in my mind, it didn't do much for my sanity.
Did you do any sport or any exercise, or you just avoid that at all costs where possible?
Not really. I wasn't really into exercise at all. We only done it when it was PE. So I wasn't one of those kids that, I didn't want people to see my fat, because I didn't really care. Wasn't really, you know, bodily astute. But no, I didn't have a bike. Didn't do a lot of walking, maybe to and from school. But yeah, no, I didn't exercise much at all. Not at all.
You mentioned in one of your poems, yeah, in the book, that you felt like a slave to food. Yeah, you want to expand on that?
Yeah. Well, I think we worship all kinds of things, you know. We can worship alcohol, we can worship marijuana, we can worship sex, we can worship people. And I've put food on such a pedestal that it felt like without food there was no fun, you know? All the fun had gone, and what's there to do if I'm not eating?
Did it always have to be quality food, or what? I mean, was there a time when say, you know, yeah, you wanted to only eat real quality food, or was it just any kind of food?
Now, so I have to eat quality soul food. So that's taken the time, 2 hours out of my day to cook and prepare meals. So I tend, because of my busy schedule, I tend to do it in bulk now. So I'll do 2 different dishes, make that cook down and have that for the week, because then I'm safe around my food and I don't have to worry about going to takeaway shop or going here, there and everywhere. But at the time, it was whatever I fancied. And I remember throughout my binging and gorging days, which was about 18 upward, no, hold on, let's think now. About 19, 20 upwards, when I was working in a supermarket, there's food all around me. So it was cream cakes, it was lots of fizzy drinks, it was crisp, and it was just whatever I wanted. And then I couldn't understand, well, why am I putting on weight? Like, I don't eat that much, you know. As an overeater, there's some sort of denial where you feel as if I don't eat that much, but maybe you graze. You might not eat 3 meals a day, but you might be picking up this along there and picking up that, and that equivalents to way over 2,000 calories. So I liked a lot of fast foods, a lot of fried stuff, takeaways, ready cooked meals. As I said, I was in the supermarket, so a lot of pastries, a lot of cream cakes, but it never is Kubara. It never is about the food. It really isn't. It is about the emotions that one feels when you're picking up the food, and I'm still learning that now. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, I felt a slave when the Haribo sweets are there and I've had a few handfuls and then I can't stop until the bag's gone. I've had nights like that, which have been like, why can't I stop? Why can't I stop? Because I'm a sugar addict. It's just maths, isn't it? You do the maths.
So, what methods are you using now to control compulsive eating?
Well, I'm in group therapy. I'm in counselling as well to help understand the issues why I overeat. That's a platform for me to see what it is that I don't want to feel. Because every time I pick up, everybody's got different triggers. Every time I pick up, it's to suppress an emotion. It's to push down a feeling because I'm not used to feeling these feelings and I want to divert my attention away from that. I also wanting and needing to start my exercise program. That's a part of the methods, but that's something that I have challenges with. And I know everything in its time, it's progress, not perfection. So everything in its time, each day at its time. But then I know in order for me to get to where I want to do, I have to put in the work with exercise. But I'm coming a long way mentally and changing the way in which I eat, which is, 3 meals a day, carbs, protein, and vegetables and fruit in between, like a bowl of fruits up there. At home, I've got some kiwis in there and I've got a grapefruit in the fridge. And giving it up and surrendering, and saying it's okay to feel guilt, it's okay to feel anger, it's okay to feel hurt and pain, and not feeling like I have to run away in it and find solace in food.
Did you think about substituting a lot of the sugars in that?
That's not a good idea for me because it tricks my brain into thinking that I'm having something sweet. So if I'm having an artificial sweetener, then
No, more like with honey and things like that. that never
oh right, okay. Well,
rather than
I have honey. Yeah, I have honey, and yeah, I would substitute it. But the less sugar I have in my diet, the better, to be quite honest. But yeah, because that is not a refined sugar. So.
Have you ever used anything like fat reduction pills or anything like that?
Yes, I have. That's interesting. No one's ever asked me that before. But yes, I could tell you some stories about that. Yeah, I used a couple. I used the shakes as well, but that didn't work. I felt too hungry on the shake. Shake can't fill me up for breakfast. I was starving by lunchtime and then I just broke it. Which is ridiculous, like a shake for your food. But anyway, each to their own. But yes, I use pills. I use like the fat burning ones. Where did I see it? Was it in the magazine? That's actually made me laugh because I forgot about that. Some sort of magazine that promised you'd lose X amount of weight. And it breaks down the fat, I think, in your urine and in your stools. Okay. And, you had to be careful because some of them actually had speed in them as well, So you had to really be careful. Some was herbal, but generally it was the fat-burning slimming pills, yeah.
But those ones, they only deal with your actual weight. They don't deal with your health and weight. Is that it?
But they never worked.
All right.
So I don't know what they bloody dealt with because I spent over 20 to 25 pounds ordering, this miracle in a tub that was going to really just change my life and I'll be slim, but it just was not the case.
So they show you the before and after pictures.
Yeah, before and after, the black and white pictures, yeah. And a lot of people fall in that because of the desperation. Yeah, the desperation to want to be a size 0, to want to be acceptable, to want to be, slim.
Okay, so you wouldn't recommend it?
Nope, would not recommend any pills or any shakes. What I would recommend is feeling your feelings and getting some professional help around that, and feeling the feelings instead of using on food, and finding out what is your trigger. What is your trigger? Is it sugar? Is it carbohydrates? Is it fried food? There is something that will trigger you to have you'll basically have a chemical reaction in your brain because you have an allergy to it. You can't, it's like one donut is too many, but 1,000 is never enough. It's that kind of thinking.
Okay, and I suppose as well, I mean, some people it's like, maybe they're going through loneliness or going through some crisis, maybe something happened to them as well, so like, they're just going in the comfort eating anyway.
Well, I was quite depressed after being assaulted. A depression set in. I felt very isolated. No one was not understanding my plight at the moment. And it was a very lonely, scary time for me because that was my first experience in terms of interacting with a male, and it was a horrible one. So I escaped in food.
I mean, you mentioned that like, on one level, right, that's what you were doing. You were just escaping in food, and you were almost like, in a way, happy in your own world doing that. But, I mean, you must have seen other people who were trying to project this perfect body image, yeah? Did that ever have any effect on you? Did you ever think, I want to be like that? Or you just thought, that's not my world?
I wasn't happy in my world, binging and overeating and being depressed. I was very sad, and I was in my own fantasy. And majority of my friends were slim. I can't even really think of maybe they might have been a little bit biggish, but the majority of my friends were slim. So it was really hard when we'd go out and guys would chat them up as opposed to me. That damaged me as well because it just reinforced the message again, which I had from childhood, that something is wrong with me. Yeah, something is wrong with me, and it's the way that my body looks.
The images that like the media give out and that the food and the clothing industry give out, I mean, did that have any effect on you?
Yeah, because I was always striving to be like what you see them little hip hop honeys are in the video, and they've just got this flat stomach, toned body, and that to me is my ideal shape, and it is very unrealistic. You'd have to work pretty hard to look like that, and it's a lifestyle, isn't it? So them girls either got an eating disorder or they work at it and they eat sensibly, and they train, they do X amount of press ups a day to get that six pack and biceps and stuff like that. But the media isn't supportive of women of all shapes and sizes. I think the media are quite prejudiced to bigger women, more voluptuous women. It's only campaigns like Dove that are starting to identify that there is other women out there other than size 0 on the Milan catwalks or wherever they are. So I think the media can do a lot more in terms of building self-esteem around body image.
At the same time, though, I mean, the food industry is pushing all this food, but yeah, they're not pushing the consequences of eating all the fast food and everything like that.
Well, it's funny, really, because in 2050, according to the NHS Obesity Report 2006, half of the Britons are going to be classed as obese. So we're following America in terms of their obese epidemic. And in 2010, over 1 million children in Britain will be obese. So my company ethos for the Healing Factory is giving a voice back to the voiceless. It's getting people to start loving themselves where they are, because if we can't love ourselves, then we can't change, And I think as talking as a person with an eating disorder that is compulsive overeating, it can knock your confidence, it can knock your self-esteem. You feel isolated, you feel like no one really understands. So it really is a daily struggle to maintain self-worth and value within oneself.
In some cultures, like I know in Jamaica you have the women using the chicken pills to get fat, and in Africa you have like the fattening houses. But in Europe you have this, what they call the heroin chic, which is like the women have to be really pasty-faced and slim, right? So I mean, have you got any comment on like those different kinds of maybe cultural
It's interesting, isn't it? Because
expressions.
the grass is always greener, Kubara, on the other side, don't you find? So it's like you want what this woman has and you don't want that, and you want to take off this and add on that and plump up your lips and do this and that. I mean, the chicken pills in Jamaica, I know that that is to make the booty more voluptuous, more bigger, as opposed to having implants, as some women do. They have implants in their buttocks. That's another story. But I think that's to do with the dance culture and how you can shake the bum. And it's all ways of trying to say that you as a woman as you are not good enough. That's how I interpret it. In Africa, with the women going to the fattening houses, that reminds me a little bit about what they do in the States, where have you ever heard of a feeder? It's usually around BBWs, which is big beautiful women, and these women are like probably, I don't know, £500. Yeah, they're morbidly obese. Some of them have got breathing apparatus because they can't breathe. Some of them's got blood pressure through the roof, sores on their skin, psoriasis, all kind of medical conditions because of the weight. And their boyfriends are called the feeders. And basically they feed them all day so they can keep them at that size, because they love them being incapacitated and that the woman has to depend on them. So you've got a woman that weighs £500, and I don't know if this is what's going on within Africa, but in terms of the fattening houses. But yeah, she weighs £500 and her boyfriend will bring ice cream, cakes, 6 pizzas, whatever it is she'll need, and he'll just feed her literally all day. So what that man is doing is he's enabling that woman to stay this size. And I watched the program about it, and basically if one of the women started to lose weight, and she must have lost, I don't know, about 10-15 stone, like, because she had the stomach bypass, and her boyfriend stopped going out with her because she was getting too small. And she's massive, do you get what I mean? I know traditionally in Africa they do like big women. It's like a traditional thing, because big women represent health and prosperity. If you're big and hearty, you're healthy and prosperous. However, the way I see it is this, it just all catches up on you. Like, people that say, oh yeah, love the skin you're in, it's wonderful, this, that. Everyone's got their opinions. However, there's still cholesterol out there, there's still diabetes out there, there's still high blood pressure out there. There's still things that are going to affect you as an overweight person, especially depending on where the weight is, if it's on the hips or if it's up in the chest area, like an apple shape, and you just got to be mindful of that and aware of that, as well as wanting to be overweight. I mean, as for, the pasty European type woman, I think we've covered that in terms of that's what's shown on television. That's the epitome of beauty, but it really isn't. It really is not. It's not my beauty.
Because with me, I mean, I think the thing is, like, whatever weight you are, it's to be able to carry that, you feel comfortable with the weight that you are, but also that whatever weight you are is that you're healthy, because, somebody could be really slim and not healthy, and somebody could have a bit more weight, but they could be healthy for their size or whatever like that. So I think, there's always a focus on what do you weigh, but there's never as much focus on, are you healthy for your weight?
This is true. But then, this is the society that we live in. People will say that if you're overweight, it's because you're lazy and fat, and they don't see it as an eating disorder, they don't see it as an illness, and they don't give it much credence than they would anorexia or bulimia. Anorexia is for one to starve themselves and not eat, and to refrain from eating. And bulimia is to binge eat and then purge, i.e. vomit it up and not put on the weight. But then, all kinds of things happen within your body. Your hair thinnens, and you get more acidity within the mouth, so your gums and your teeth start to rot.
So you think people with bulimia and anorexia get more sympathy in this country and get more understanding?
Because in the obesity report on the NHS 2006, they've attributed the weight gain, they've attributed majority of it being lifestyle. But it's not. It's someone's mental health state, someone's well-being, that is a part of it as well. And they've not even acknowledged that.
There's also people's metabolism, because some people, I mean, people can eat the same, but some people burn it faster than other people as well.
Yeah,
So
the genetic makeup as well. Some people are just more active. They might do more house chores, and just have a different lifestyle. You know, they might have been grown up with an active family and just balance it out that way. So it does impact on your weight as well.
Because I know for me, I was really slim until I was in my mid-20s.
But to me, you still look slim. I don't understand. Like, this is the thing. Like, it's just interesting, different people's perceptions of how they perceive their own body. I mean, you look like a slim man to me.
Yeah. No, but it's like, because you get used to carrying a certain weight. So, like, anything that changes, by the time you get to your mid-20s, right, if you've been a certain way, you notice any differences.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if
you
you're
know,
a
like
slim
whether it goes up
person-
or down, you notice the differences more because you've been a certain way for a long time.
Yeah, if you're a slim person and you put on a stone, you notice that you can't fit into your jeans. So, yeah, I can appreciate that, you know, you'd have some issues around that, and that's okay.
So what role do you think the government should play in addressing eating disorders?
Well, I think they need to do more research into why people overeat, and I think they need to have some sort of across the board where some sort of, like, how can I put it, a gym for access and walking days and things like that. I mean, they currently do it for people who are at risk of heart disease and cholesterol and that kind of thing, or maybe who are people that are severely morbidly obese. But for the average Joe like myself who wants to do something about my weight, I should be able to go to my doctors and get a prescription of the gym, some sort of instruction to do that.
Like a health regime where they say, like,
Yeah, you go to the gym 3-4 times a week and you are educated on a course about healthy eating and nutrition. I think that's vital, because some people don't know about the fats in food, good fats, bad fats, what to refrain from, what not to, because their parents haven't taught them. You know, and I think the government need to take it seriously, because they're going to otherwise spend £65 billion between now and 2050 because of the health-related disorders and illnesses around people who are obese. So heart attacks, bypasses, all those kind of things, cholesterol, all of that. They're going to just, it's like, they're going to spend more money.
Yeah.
So prevention is better than cure, and I think that the government can do a lot more, because Southwark has the highest rate of obese children in Europe.
Is there any reason why that is?
Because on every corner of the road is a chicken shop with 2 genetically modified chickens and chips for £1 or £1.99, and it's just so easy. And when I see them with their chicken boxes in their hands, the children, the young kids, it's like, it's the best food ever. Like, where I know that I could go to a supermarket and get no frills pasta, tin of tuna, all for under £1, get an onion, tomatoes, mix that up, and that's a good meal for someone to eat.
But is it also that people don't want to cook anymore because there is so many food shops? I mean, I can't believe how many takeaways that there is.
Yeah,
Right.
it's designed to make people lazy, isn't it? So, you know, I love cooking, lucky for me. So to me, to cook up some dinner isn't a big thing, but to other people who, you know, can't be bothered, or they're out working, parents that are working, and yeah, just put that in the microwave, or here's £2, go to the chicken shop and get something. And that's the choices that people make, lifestyle choices, isn't it? And we need to be re-educated. So the government, they can have some sort of prescription for overweight people to go to the gym, probably people that are considered very overweight, very obese, morbidly obese, and have a section in the gym, and education on training them about healthy eating and what are the right portion sizes as well. And maybe thirdly, put in some counselling in there to find out why people overeat that are specific to food related issues.
But, I mean, is the government likely to do that when, I mean, they just announced recently that, you know, McDonald's is going to be one of the major places where people can get educational certificates? So, like, obviously, I mean, they're happy with that kind of fast food regime and whatever they call, you know, on that level. They're not thinking long
the
term.
government is the government, isn't it? And there was a report out last week that basically said that the government are considering proposals to pay people to lose weight. I guess they're thinking of it as a positive reinforcement, but that's not dealing with the heart of the issue, because you're still going to have emotional repercussions. That's just dealing with the physicalness, isn't it? You know, but that's not going to the root and taking away that cause. As for the government, I mean, those are the three things that the government could do. Whether they implement it or not is up to, you know, the constituents and whoever passes the bills and stuff like that. But I didn't know about that McDonald's thing, and that just sounds ridiculous. And even McDonald's are now capitalising over having healthier choices of meals and stuff. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it, really? It's just a money thing for them. So now you can go to McDonald's and get something that's X amount of calories and stuff. It's just money to them.
Even I was reading a report, and you're supposed to be able to get the salad, and the man was saying that, like, you know, in 90% of the places that he tried, right, the salad, they were told, wasn't in stock. But they're still drawing people into coming into their establishment. So, like, they can advertise that, oh, yes, if you come in, there's healthy options in here. But once you get in there, you find out that the healthy options aren't in stock. So you're not going to go back out and go somewhere else. You'll say, well, give me whatever you've got. So it's like...
And I mean, that's all marketing strategies, you know. That's why you have to have your own mind, break away from the system. And that doesn't really surprise me, Kubara. That really 90% of the stores were out of stock, you know. That does not surprise me at all.
Okay, let's move back to your book, yeah, The Food Spiral. Why did you decide to self-publish it?
Interesting. I just wanted full artistic and creative control over it. I had a book prior to this, which is what I entitled a self-help book, a motivational book. A lot bigger, it's 148 pages, and I tried to source an agent, wrote to 10 agents, got 10 rejections. Not very good with rejection at the minute, but got 10 rejections, and just thought, you know what, I think this next idea that I had for this book, because I read my food poems to a friend, and she really loved them, and she encouraged me to put it into book form. I thought once people cotton on, it's going to be a good seller. So I just decided basically that I was going to self-publish it, because I've always wanted to have a publishing company. If you look up there, I've got a cosmic shopping list, and that list is about 10 years old. So on that list, it says on there to have my own publishing company, and it was just one of my goals that I wanted to do, and I kind of fell into it. And it's the first pointer on that list, own my own publishing company. So, you know, I just like to be in charge of what I'm doing. Guy that I was speaking to who does my POD, print on demand, for Amazon, was saying to me that famous writers that he's known getting 23 pence per book. And that just seems to me outrageous. That is outrageous. And I think if I can sell enough copies and generate enough interest, then I've got a better playing field, you know, and that's it really. Like 23p a copy for a book. Is it worth writing the book?
But they're looking at, I mean, if it's name brand, then they're looking at selling 100,000 books. So, but also they get extra. Yeah, but they get extra for the speaking tour bookings and things like that, and for teaching creative writing courses and all those kind of things. So they're looking at the book's a marketing strategy to actually get out there and get to a lot of people. And then they have their own business, which is, yeah, okay, you want me to come and speak to your students? That's going to cost you X.
Well, everything in my book, The Food Spiral, it actually is my ideas and concepts. I worked with Vince McLean from Accra Arts. You can check him out. www.akiarts.com. He is based in Miami, the 305, America, for people who don't know where Miami is. And we met on MySpace. That's why MySpace is a brilliant networking tool. And I drew the cover of the book. I told him that I wanted stars as the page numbers, how I wanted it laid out, everything. And he was really, really good, and he's done a great job with it. And I'm really happy to work with him. And I just used my initiative, really, because in terms of an editor, I had an editor that done the book, which was Rasquende, but I didn't want someone to edit my words and tell me I couldn't say this and I couldn't say that. My words are my words, and I write what I write, and that's it. You know, and the editor was to check for grammar, because I am dyslexic as well, and was to check for spellings. that was why I had an editor on the book, not to say, oh, can you change this sentence because it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so how has the book been received?
Well, this year, the colour copy is being launched in 23rd of February at Centre Price Bookshop on Kingston High Road. So I'm really excited, looking to get some celebrities up there. So people have said positive things about it, like yourself. Even you said, it's a good book. Okay, so why is it good? Because there's some sort of connection to or identification to what it is like to overeat and feel full and not like yourself very much. And even if you're not an overeater, the food spiral serves as a tool to educate people about the effects of overeating and how it's becoming more dominant as we move towards 2050, when half the Britons are going to be overweight in this country. So I got BBC London, Dr. Adebayo loved it. He interviewed me about it, talked to me about his food issues. I had Press TV come in. They wanted me to talk about spirituality in children in regards to, the work that I do around workshops for the book, The Food Spiral, as well. I'll be going on Choice FM in February. So, it's generating interest, and I think it's important to do the workshops with the book as well, because it comes hand in hand, building up young people's self-esteem, young people's confidence, and this is through creative writing workshops. So we do poetries like body raps and positive raps about self and working as a group. I've had articles in The Voice, New Nation. So I'm being supported in my dreams, and it's available on www.amazon.co.uk. So it's really, really interesting time for me, and I'll be touring this year in the UK and in the US of A.
Okay, could you read us a couple of poems?
I can read a couple of poems. The first one I'll do is Obsession is a Lesson. No, actually I'll do The Oppressor with him. I strike out with candy kisses, replacing jammy moments with cinnamon sprinkles. I'm forever a fruity rainbow when it hurts, giving creme fraiche answers that are sandwiched between today. Caught up in the middle of melted sticky toffee promoted bittersweet reflection. Forgive me, for I have chicken chow mein dreams that are coated in hoisin sauce. I've been pushed down by the jelly babies and the strawberry swirls and the pecan pies. I hear chocolate deluxe calling my name, and then I answer in a blueberry muffin tone. Yes, I'm fixated on taste and flavours every minute of every day. And now I slip into a Caribbean rum punch depression, muttering, I will never change.
Okay, thanks. One poem you did, Fat People Smell, right, which is really about like the way that people react to fat people. But in it, it talks a lot about despair, low self-esteem, but like there's this phrase in it where you say like, I am not my obesity, because that's just the outer person, that's just the outer frame.
Well, yeah, you said it right there and then. I think in Fat People Smells, I wanted to shock people with the title, and I wanted to look at the stereotypes that one would have about obese people smelling. That's what people say. That's what people believe, especially if they've never come from a background of overeating. It just disgusts them. And you've got to live with those kind of looks on road where people are just like, wow, she's massive. Or they don't want to sit next to you on the bus. They'd rather stand up than sit down next to you because you take up half the seat. So I am not my obesity. For a long time, I just thought I was, and that knocks me confidence. But I'm not my obesity. I am a person. I am a woman. I am a woman of colour, and I've had an experience of medicating on food in order to deal with emotional pain, and that's been my experience. So definitely I'm not my obesity, because there's more to me than that. I write poetry, I sing, I do workshops. So I'm not just a fat person on road that someone thinks has not got a brain, and that's what tends to happen. And even when you're in the supermarket, slim people tend to look in your trolley, what's she eating? And I notice things like that because I'm a bit paranoid, so I'll see stuff like that.
It's good to be perceptive rather than just like, don't even sit, because then it's like, yeah, okay, you see what the relationship is with you and other people. You know, what their responses are to, what their reactions are, what your responses are to them as well, you know.
Usually, it had been quite defensive because of the denial that I've been in. So I walk through the world with this don't bother me kind of attitude.
But you don't know what the next person's carrying in their life. Like, they might be carrying whatever stress and strains, like, you know, the people,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
don't
the people
know.
who look good but they've got all the problems in the world.
You don't know other people's stories. Very true.
What message would you like to give people who, you know, maybe suffering from eating disorder, or they know somebody who is?
Well, my experience is from a black British woman's perspective. I was born in England. My parents are of Caribbean descent. I'm writing as a black woman living in this Western society. So my message is that eating disorder isn't a colour thing. Anyone can have an eating disorder, man, woman and child. Very important to know that, you know, children get complexes about who they are and their food from very young ages. When I do these workshops that are based around the Food Spiral book, I work with young people who say they hate their stomachs because it's big, or they hate their arms because it's skinny. And one boy that was in the Voice newspaper actually had an article in there. I'll show you after we've done. He wanted to be like 50 Cent. Why? Because he identifies 50 Cent as being glamorous. He identifies 50 Cent as having a nice body. He identifies 50 Cent as having all the girls wanting him. And this is the perceptions that I need to change, with that I desire to change with the work that I'm doing, to say, well, actually, you're just fine in the skin you're in.
Do you want to be shot 9 times? Does he want the downside of the other person's life? Or you only want the glamour side that
I
he
think
sees
he
on
just
TV?
wants the glamour. Yeah, he just wants what's on MTV base. Because it looks appealing. It looks like, you know, his life is much better than mine.
So he might get shot once and not survive.
Well, this is it. This is it. And, you know, I mean, remarkable if you got shot 9 times and you're still surviving. And
It's not a lifestyle to aspire to.
yeah, no, definitely. You'd think that that point in your life where, you know, you could have died would make you see things differently, but everyone's just on a different path, aren't they? You know, but he is the richest rapper in the game, in the music industry. But my message to people that are out there who think that they might have this as an eating disorder is definitely check out the website, which is www.thefoodspiral.com. There's services there that one could attend to get some support with this. If they go to, I think it's the index or information, there are places that can assist you. Also, you have to tell the truth. You have to just be honest. I mean, you can be slim and still be a compulsive overeater. People don't know that. They just think the physical symptom is obesity, but that is not the case. And knowledge is power. So if you begin to know and educate yourself about something, then you can begin to change it. And that's very important as well. So be strong, stay in the fight, and, you know, seek to better oneself emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally. That would be my message to you all.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You are most welcome.
And you're just going to close with some poems?
Yeah, because, you know, the book, The Food Spiral, isn't just about eating and being in the food. It's about recovery as well. So this poem is called Moment by Moment. I'm going to wash myself in courage, rinsing only in bravery. For I am here in this moment. I'm going to dry my hair with emancipation and oil it with redemption. For my deliverance is born. I am no longer enslaved, so I'll dance with glory and jiggle with laughter. I'm going to eat from the fruit of life and fill up with love. I'm going to walk into my day with clarity of who I am. Each stride represents triumph, for I am a vibration of light, radiating invisible rays of solar energy that will affect the whole. I'm going to swim with serenity and splash with peace. I matter because I count. I am in alignment because I hear the angels sing. I'm going to embrace self-love in every moment, for I am the moment.
Thank you so much for the interview, and I wish you all the best.
Lovely.
Take care, yeah?
Excellent. Bye-bye.